Welcome, everybody. And we are, believe it or not, in week 9. And we are today talking about from fitting in to belonging. And so I am just going to really draw from what I wrote here, which is the saying that I heard from Brene Brown. What she said that, quote, the opposite of fitting in is belonging. And it took me a minute and a couple of times to say that out loud to really get it. But what resonated for me was all the ways in which I have attempted to fit in, especially in academia, ever since I was a child. And so the flip side to that is, what would it mean not to change yourself for an institution or to change oneself to fit certain norms, but to just be oneself and bring all of one's, you know, cultural, linguistic, and just capital overall, what he also refers to as community cultural wealth. Um, and when I think of times when I've been very happy, I think of feeling like comfortable just being myself, not thinking about it. Second nature, not going, should I say this? Should I say that? What are the repercussions if I go this direction? Simpler way to say that is I belong in spaces where I don't have to perform, but where I can just show up fully, awkwardly, imperfectly. So this week, I've asked you to answer the question, what does belonging look like and feel like to you? And, I broke it down into a couple of sections: people, spaces, activities, experiences, feelings, and memories. And then I'm asking you to think of a very specific experience or time in your life when you felt like you really did belong. And so I'll read what I wrote or what I started writing. I said, this is a bit of a tough one because I feel as if I've always struggled to belong anywhere. And that has to do with my multiracial identity, with my, the way that I grew up, my immigration experience. It's not like a lot of other people's. So what I've learned and what I've leaned into is actively creating communities where I can facilitate a sense of belonging, not just for others, but for myself, where I can feel connected, which is part of why the reset came to life. This is a space where I feel completely myself and where I feel like I invite and encourage others to do the same. So when I started thinking about it, I felt like the place that I belonged most, or where, when I think about that feeling of belonging, was when I was an undergrad at Berkeley. And why is that? So when I was contemplating this, I think I felt not home necessarily in the institution, but everything that went with it and around it. So let me explain. The social conscientiousness, the history of civil rights, third world liberation, social movements, all of that resonated with me, and it's such a fabric of the University of California at Berkeley. The expectation of excellence everywhere. The people I was around were so incredibly smart, but also very well rounded. And so I was just surrounded by the most creative, brilliant, often kind people that I've ever met. My emerging sense of a Chicana identity. So part of my big struggle in terms of fitting in has been being mixed, multiracial, being Chinese, Guatemalteca, and Italian, having my first language be Spanish, but all of the expectations that come around having a name like Aurora Chang. And what was so amazing to me was the Chicanx friends that I had at UC Berkeley. They really embraced me, never really questioning my multiracial identity. And I just felt such a kinship and an affinity. Um, Tied in with that were sort of the friends that I made at Berkeley, which were mainly Mexican American. We cooked communally. We partied together. We took road trips to LA, back and forth, stuffed in tiny little cars. We studied in the library together, and we really loved each other like family. We lived in such a utopian way. It's hard to describe, but maybe that's what belonging is for me, that sense of like, it's hard to describe, but I just know it when I'm in it. So that's what I have to share. I'll also share the different the piece of writing I just read to you, and also the different components of belonging that I mentioned earlier. And I hope that you experience some magic in this and really begin to identify ways that you experience belonging, and a specific time, a specific experience where you felt like you really belonged. See you soon.